The sterile hum of machines is the first thing I register, a cold, mechanical pulse that seems to sync with the ache in my chest. My eyes flutter open, fighting the weight of sedation, and the world comes into focus-bleached white ceiling tiles. Fluorescent lights that sting like a slap, and the sharp tongue of antiseptic clawing at my throat. I'm in a hospital bed, hooked to N4, a tangle of tubes snaking from my arm, my nose, my chest. My body feels like it's been run over by a every breath a jagged knife twisting in my ribs. I don't remember how I got here. A car accident, maybe? The details are a fog, slipping through my fingers like smoke. I try to move, but my limbs are heavy, betraying me. My mouth is dry, my tongue too thick to form words. I blink, slow and deliberate, scanning the room. That's when I see them, my parents. My mother, Abigail, sits to my left, perched in a plastic chair like she's at a corporate retreat, not an ICU. Her coral blazer is pristine. Her leather folder balanced on her crossed knees, polished to a sheen that screams control. My father, Richard, stands to my right, arms folded, taring at a scuff on the linoleum floor like it's the most fascinating thing in the world. He doesn't meet my eyes. Neither of them does. I want to ask what happened, where my phone is. Why I feel like I'm drowning in my own skin. But no sound comes out, just a rasp of air that burns my throat. A nurse, a tall guy with kind eyes and a name tag reading Carlos, adjusts my the fourth. You're awake, he says softly, his voice a warm anchor in the sterile storm. Rough night, huh? Just take it easy. He pats my hand, offers a smile that feels like the only real thing in the room, and slips out, pulling the curtain mostly closed behind him. That's when Abigail stands. Her smile is wrong tight, calculated, like she's selling me something. This won't take long, she says, her voice smooth as glass, but there's an edge beneath it, sharp enough to cut. She opens her folder, pulls out a stack of papers. My vision blurs, but I catch the logo instantly, my logo. The sleek, minimalist design I sketched on my coffee-stained napkins 7 years ago when I was 22. Dreaming of building something bigger than myself. It's the header of my company, Solstice Tech, the $7.2 million empire I poured my soul into. Coding through sleepless nights, pitching to investors who laughed at a young Latina with no Ivy League degree. My chest tightens, not just from the pain of whatever surgery landed me here, but from the sudden, sickening realization that something is very wrong. Abigail steps closer, her heels clicking on the floor like a metronome. This is just a precaution, she says, her tone soft, almost maternal, but it's a lie. A power of attorney, so we can manage Solstice while you recover. Her words drip with concern, but her eyes are cold, predatory. She flips to the last page, and I squint through the haze of painkillers. There is a clause buried in fine print, retroactive authority to sell. My blood runs cold. This isn't about helping me. This is about taking everything. I try to shake my head, but it's like moving through molasses. My hand twitches, clumsy and weak, reaching for the papers. Abigail misreads it, or maybe she doesn't. She grabs my wrist, gentle but firm, and slips a pen between my fingers. Just a quick signature, Selena, she says, her voice coaxing like she's talking me into dessert, not signing away my life's work. Then you can rest. I force my lips to move. The word's a whisper, barely audible, but it's there. No. It takes everything I have, every ounce of strength left in my broken body to push it out. Abigail freezes. Richard looks up for the first time, his eyes narrowing, his jaw tight. The air in the room shifts, heavy with something darker than disappointment. You're choosing this pain, Richard says, his voice low, colder than the floor dripping into my arm. You always were stubborn. He steps closer and I see at the flicker of something cruel in his eyes, something I've spent years pretending wasn't there. Abigail glances at him, a silent signal passing between them. Then, before I can process it, she reaches behind my bed. There's a soft click, and the oxygen tube slips from my nose. My lungs seize, my throat closing like a vice. I gasp, but nothing comes. The machines scream, a high-pitched wail that matches the panic clawing at my chest. My hands scrabble at the sheets, desperate, useless. You've always made things harder than they need to be, Abigail says, her voice barely above a whisper, calm as if she's scolding me for missing curfew. She doesn't move to fix the tube, neither does Richard. The edges of my vision blur, darkening, and for a moment, I think this is it. They're going to let me die right here. In this bed for a signature dot, then, just as suddenly, Abigail clicks. The tube back into place. Air floods my lungs, cold and sharp, like shards of glass. I cough, my chest heaving, the monitor settling into a steadier rhythm. She smooths the blanket over my legs, like she's tucking me in after a bedtime story. I hope you come to your senses, she says, her smile returning, tighter now, a warning. Richard says nothing, just picks up the folder and sets it on my chest, the weight of it pressing against my bruised ribs. They turn and walk out, the curtain swaying behind them. The door clicks shut, and I'm alone with the hum of the machines. And the papers they left behind, I can't move, can't cry, can't even scream. The pain in my chest is more than physical now. It's the ache of betrayal, the kind that carves out a piece of you and leaves it hollow. My parents, the people who raised me, who cheered at my high school graduation, who told me I was their little entrepreneur, just tried to steal my company. Worse, they were willing to let me suffocate to get it. The realization hits harder than the accident that put me here. I've spent my life chasing their approval, proving I was worthy of their love. And in this moment, I see it clearly. They don't love me. They love what I built, and they'll do anything to take it. The folder slips slightly, but I don't have the strength to push it off. My vision swims, the beeping fading in and out. I'm slipping under again, the drugs pulling me down, when a soft voice cuts through the haze. Sweetheart. It's warm, familiar, like a lifeline thrown into a storm. I force my eyes open, turning my head just enough to see her grandma Eleanor standing in the doorway. Her silver hair is pulled back in a tight bun, her lavender, perfume cutting through the antiseptic sting. She's holding something folded in her hands, something soft and worn. My old hoodie, the one I used to wear in her garage, coating late into the night while she brought me cocoa. The one my parents called trashy when I wore it to family dinners. She moves fast, faster than her 72 years should allow. Her eyes sweep the room, the wires, the monitors, the folder on my chest. Her face hardens, a quiet fury I've never seen before. She presses the call button so hard the plastic cracks, then checks my oxygen line, her fingers steady as she tightens it. You're not alone, she whispers, her voice fierce, like she's daring the world to try her. The nurse, Carlos, returns, and Eleanor doesn't waste a second. She needs a full workup, she says, her tone sharp, commanding. And I want someone here at all times. You hear me? At all times. Carlos nods, moving quickly, his face tight with concern. When he leaves, Eleanor sits beside me, her hand finding mine. It's warm, strong, the kind of strength that doesn't need to shout. You're not done, she says, her voice softer now, but no less certain. You didn't build Solstice for them. My fingers twitch, curling just barely around the edge of the folder. I want to tell her everything, how scared I am, how much it hurts, but I can't, not yet. But when our eyes meet, something passes between us. Not pity, not fear. Understanding that I don't know how long we sit there. The machines humming around us, but at some point, in the dim light of the ICU, I summon every ounce of strength left in me. My fingers claw at the folder, slow, trembling, until I rip a corner off the last page. The tear is jagged, uneven, but it feels like a declaration. Eleanor watches, silent, her eyes gleaming with something like pride. She picks up the torn piece, holding it between her fingers like a piece of evidence. We'll need a lawyer, she says softly, then adds, not a priest. I close my eyes, the weight of her words settling over me like a shield. They wanted me out of the way, thought I was too weak to fight. They thought wrong. But as I drift back into the haze of painkillers, a chill runs through me. This isn't over. They'll come back, and next time. They might not stop at unplugging a tube. What else are they capable of? What else have they already done? The next morning, I'm still in the ICU, my body a map of bruises and stitches, but my mind is sharper, clawing its way out of the fog. Eleanor hasn't left my side. Her presence a quiet fortress. The folder's gone. Eleanor took it, promising to lock it away somewhere safe. I don't ask where. I trust her. She's the only one I trust now. Carlos checks my vitals, his hands. Gentle but efficient. You're stabilizing, he says, his voice a mix of relief and caution. But you need to rest. No stress. Okay? I want to laugh, but it hurts too much. No stress? My parents just tried to steal my company while I was half dead. Stress is the least of it. Eleanor steps out to make a call, and I'm alone again, staring at the ceiling. That's when the door opens, and a man I don't recognize walks in. He's tall in a navy blazer that's slightly too big, a scar near his chin catching the light. Miss Marin, he says, his voice low, respectful. I'm Lucas, an estate lawyer. Your grandmother called me. He doesn't waste time pulling a chair close and opening a briefcase. I pulled your medical records and the hospital's hallway footage. What your parents did trying to force a signature while you were sedated, it's criminal. I blink. My throat too raw to respond. Criminal. The word lands like a stone. Lucas lays out documents, hospital logs, a grainy still from a security camera showing Abigail slipping the folder onto my bed. They also filed an executive transition form. With the California Secretary of State, he says, his tone even but laced with disgust. They claimed you voluntarily stepped down due to health incapacity. Your mother's listed as acting CEO, your father a CFO. My chest tightens, not from the stitches but from the betrayal. They didn't just try to take Solstice, they rewrote my role, demoted me to founder emeritus, a ceremonial title with no power. I built this company from nothing, coded the first prototype in my dorm room while they told me I was wasting my degree. And now, while was unconscious, they erased me. Lucas leans forward. We have enough to freeze their moves. The signatures are forged. We can file for an injunction. I nod slow, my mind racing. But before I can process it, the door swings open again, and a new nurse steps in, her face unfamiliar. She's holding a syringe, her movements quick, too quick. Just a routine dose, she says, but her eyes dart to Lucas, then away. Something's off. My heart monitor spikes, the beeping faster, louder. Lucas stands, his hand on my arm. What's in that? He asks, his voice sharp. The nurse hesitates, her smile faltering. Just pain meds, she says, but her fingers tremble as she preps the syringe. I try to sit up, my body screaming in protest, but Lucas is already moving, stepping between us. Show me the chart, he demands. The nurse fumbles, then backs toward the door, muttering about a mix-up before disappearing. My pulse hammers in my ears. Was that? I start, but Lucas cuts me off, his face grim. We need to get you out of here, now. He presses the call button and Carlos rushes in, his eyes wide when Lucas explains. They transfer me to a private room, Eleanor returning. Just as the order goes through. Her face is pale, but her jaw is set. They're not done, she whispers, her hand gripping mine. But neither are we. The private room is quieter, but the weight of what just happened lingers. Eleanor sits by my bed, her lavender perfume a faint comfort. She hands me a stack of unopened mail she picked up from my P.O. box before we left the hospital. Bills, bank statements, and one thick envelope catch my eye. I tear it open, my hands unsteady. Inside is a legal document. My name signed at the bottom in a cursive that's almost mine, but not quite. The date says 6 months ago when I was in Seattle, closing a deal with a major client. I wasn't in California. I didn't sign this. The memory hits me like a freight train. My mother, Abigail, used to sit at our kitchen table when I was in high school, copying my signature on permission slips, notes, anything she could get her hands on. Just practicing, she'd laugh, her eyes glinting. I thought it was a game. Now I see it for what it was, preparation. They've been planning this for years, waiting for the right moment to strike. Eleanor watches me, her face unreadable. They wanted the company so badly, I whisper, my voice cracking. They were willing to fake my death on paper. She doesn't flinch, just slides the torn document corner from her purse, the one I ripped in the ICU. Then don't fight like their daughter, she says, her voice steady as steel. Fight like the CEO you are. I nod, the words sinking into me, rooting me to something stronger than pain. But as I grip the forged document, a shadow moves outside the window, a flicker, gone as quickly as it appeared. My heart lurches. Was someone watching? The hospital is supposed to be secure, but after the nurse with the syringe, I'm not so sure. Lucas steps to the window, peering out, but the parking lot is empty, the streetlights casting long, eerie shadows. We need to move fast, he says, turning back to me. They're not just after your company, they're after you. The words hang in the air, heavy with truth. I think of the oxygen tube, the syringe, the shadow. My parents didn't just betray me, they're dangerous. And as I lie here, my body's still weak, my mind races with questions. What else have they done? What else are they planning? And how far will they go to make sure I don't walk out of this alive? The new hospital room is quieter, but it doesn't feel safe. The walls are too thin, the window too exposed, and the shadow I glimpsed last night lingers in my mind like a bruise. I'm Selena Marin, the woman who built Solstice Tech from a dorm room dream into a $7.2 million empire, and now lying here with stitches in my chest and a heart monitor beeping, I'm fighting for my life in more ways than one. My parents, Abigail and Richard, tried to steal my company while I was sedated in the ICU. They unplugged my oxygen, left forged documents on my chest, and walked away without a backward glance. But I'm not done, not even close. With Grandma Eleanor by my side and a lawyer named Lucas piecing together their crimes, I'm ready to fight back. But as the days pass, I'm learning that fighting means surviving traps I never saw coming. It's dawn. The sky outside my window a pale gray that feels more like a warning than a promise. Eleanor sits in the corner, her floral robe a splash of color against the sterile room. She's flipping through a stack of mail, her hands steady but her eyes sharp, like she's searching for something. I'm propped up in bed, my laptop balanced. On my knees, the screen glowing with Solstice's dashboard. I used a hidden founder credential to log in, a backdoor I built into the system months ago as a precaution I never thought I'd need. The interface looks wrong now, new colors. New header, Legacy Wealth Solutions. My company, my dream, rebranded into something cold and corporate. My mother's name, Abigail Marin, is listed as executive director. My father, Richard, is strategic advisor. My name? Buried in an archive page, one click away from deletion. I'm listed as founder emeritus, a hollow title with no power. No voice stop, my fingers hover over the keyboard, trembling with rage and something else fear. Not of them, but of how far they've gone. Lucas confirmed yesterday that they filed forged documents with the California Secretary of State, claiming I voluntarily stepped down while I was unconscious. They drained $900,000 from my accounts, citing a fake verbal confirmation while I was intubated. And then there was the nurse with the syringe, the shadow outside my window. My parents aren't just greedy, they're dangerous. I close the laptop, the soft click louder than it should be in the quiet room. Eleanor looks up, her eyes meeting. Mine. You found it, didn't you? She asks, her voice low, steady. I nod, unable to speak. She sets the mail down and hands me a thick envelope from the stack. This came to your P.O. box, she says. I didn't open it. My hands shake as I tear it open. Inside is a legal document, my signature scrawled at the bottom in a cursive that's close but not mine. The date is 6 months ago when I was in Seattle pitching to clients. I wasn't here. I didn't sign this. The memory floods back Abigail, years ago, copying my signature at our kitchen table, laughing it off as a game. It wasn't a game. It was a plan. They faked my death on paper. I whisper, my voice raw. Eleanor's face hardens, but she doesn't flinch. Then don't fight like their daughter, she says, echoing her words from yesterday. Fight like the CEO you are. Her words are a spark, igniting something in me that the painkillers can't dull. But before I can respond, the door swings open and a new orderly steps in, pushing a cart with a tray of food. His hands are steady, but his eyes dart to the window, then to me. My heart monitor spikes, the beeping sharp and insistent. Lucas, who's been standing by the door, steps forward. Who authorized you? He asks, his voice calm but edged with suspicion. Orderly freezes, his hand hovering over the tray. Just delivering breakfast, he says, but his voice wavers. Lucas moves closer, his presence commanding. Show me the order. The orderly fumbles, pulling out a clipboard with a crumpled sheet. Lucas scans it, his jaw tightening. This isn't signed by the attending physician. The orderly backs toward the door, muttering about a mistake, and bolts before Lucas can stop him. I stare at the tray, a plastic cup of juice glinting under the fluorescent light. My stomach churns. Poison? Another syringe? I don't know, but I'm done trusting this place. We need to get you out of here, Lucas says, echoing his warning from yesterday. He's already on the phone, arranging a transfer to a secure facility. Eleanor grips my hand, her warmth grounding me. They're not stopping, she whispers. But neither are we. As the nurses prepare to move me, I catch another flicker outside the window, a silhouette, gone in a blink. My heart pounds, but I force myself to breathe. They're watching me, they're waiting. But I'm not the scared girl they raised to obey. Not anymore. The new facility is a private clinic on the outskirts of San Francisco, tucked behind a row of eucalyptus trees that smell like home. It's quieter, safer, but I can't shake the feeling that eyes are still on me. I'm out of the ICU now, my stitches healing, but every movement feels like a battle. Lucas and Eleanor are my anchors, plotting our next move in a small conference. Room down the hall. I'm sitting on the edge of my bed, a borrowed tablet in my lap, when Clara messages me. Claire's a family friend, someone who's been around since I was a kid, always hovering on the edges of our fractured family. Her text is short, urgent. Can we meet? Somewhere private. Not at Eleanor's. I agree, choosing a bench by a duck. Pond in Golden Gate Park. It's neutral, open, but quiet enough to talk. When I arrive, leaning on a cane for support, Claire is already there, clutching her sleeves like armor. Her face is pale, her eyes glassy. I heard them, she says, her voice breaking. Abigail and Nora in the kitchen. They were laughing, saying they'd finally gotten rid of you. That Solstice was theirs now, that you were just the workhorse. Her words hit like a punch, but they don't surprise me. I've known deep down that my parents and my sister Nora saw me as a means to an end. Still, hearing it stings, Claire's throat tightens. I'm not really family, she says. If they find out I told you. She trails off, but I understand. She's risking everything. I take her hand, cold and trembling. You don't owe me anything, I say softly, but I won't forget this. She nods, then whispers, if you need me to testify, I will. I don't cry, not then. I just watch a duck glide across the pond, oblivious to the storm brewing in my world. As we part ways, a black SUV idles across the street, its tinted windows hiding whoever's inside. My skin prickles. I grip my cane tighter and head back to the clinic, checking over my shoulder until I'm inside. That night, my phone buzzes with a notification. It's a social media post from Abigail, standing outside Solstice's office in San Francisco. Her lips painted a garish red, the old logo I designed looming behind her. The caption reads, proud to lead the next chapter of our family legacy. The time stamp matches the day I was intubated in the ICU. My blood boils, but I don't react. I forward the post to Lucas with no comment. He responds in minutes. It's enough. I read it 3 times, letting the words sink in. It's enough to fight back, to expose them. But as I set the phone down, a loud crash echoes from the clinic's parking lot. I limp to the window, my heart racing. A trash can lies overturned, papers scattering in the wind. No one's there, but the message is clear. They're still watching. This next morning, I'm back at Eleanor's house, a cozy Victorian in Oakland that smells of cedar and old books. I'm curled on her couch, a crochet blanket draped over my legs, when Lucas arrives with a forensic document examiner named Rachel. She's sharp, her thick-rimmed glasses framing eyes that miss nothing. She lays out 3 folders, the forged. Secretary of State filing, the ICU power of attorney, and a silent contract my parents hoped I'd never see. It's a plan to sell Solstice to a rival firm for $10 million. With my signature forged, of course already attached, you have grounds to freeze every move they've made, Rachel says, her voice calm but certain. The signatures are fraudulent. We can file for an injunction. I nod, but my mind is elsewhere, replaying the crash in the parking lot, the SUV by the pond. Lucas senses my distraction. Selena, we need to act fast, he says. They're escalating. He's right. That afternoon, as I'm sipping tea in Eleanor's kitchen, the doorbell rings. A man in a navy windbreaker hands me a thick envelope. Miss Marin, you've been served, he says, then walks away without another word. I open it, my hands steady despite the dread pooling in my gut. It's a lawsuit from Abigail, Richard, and Nora claiming I'm mentally unfit to run Solstice due to neurological trauma from the accident. They want to freeze my assets, my company, my life. Pending a psychiatric review, Eleanor sees the papers and sinks into a chair, her hands trembling. I knew they were cruel, she whispers, tears falling silently onto her skirt. But I didn't know they were monsters. I want to comfort her, but I'm too angry, too tired. Part of me wants to give up, let them take it all. But then I remember Claire's words, the forged signature, the oxygen tube. I grab the envelope and stand. I'm done letting them write my story. I say, my voice steady for the first time in days. That night, I don't sleep. I organize every piece of evidence, hospital logs, neurologist reports clearing me of cognitive issues, the forged contract. I'm preparing for war, but the battlefield keeps shifting. As I'm sorting papers, my phone buzzes with a voicemail from the night after my surgery. I play it, my heart pounding. It's Abigail, her voice sharp, casual, like she's ordering. Coffee. If she croaks, we split the company 3 ways, she says, laughing with Nora. Then colder. And Eleanor's next if she doesn't shut up. I played again and again, memorizing every word, every cadence. They're not just after Solstice, they're after us. The next day. I'm at Eleanor's kitchen table, the same one where I used to do homework while she made gumbo. Now it holds my laptop, a cold coffee, and a file I've named Reckoning. I upload it to a private founders forum, a group of women who've built companies from nothing, just like me. The post is simple, titled What Happens When Your Family Bets Against You. It's 10 pages of facts. ICU logs, forged signatures, Abigail's post, Clara's recording. I don't name names, but I don't need to. I close the laptop and wash. Dishes, the scent of cinnamon toast lingering in the air. When I check the forum an hour later, the comments are pouring in emojis, stories of betrayal, offers of support. One message stands out from an early Solstice investor, a woman who once told me I built like I had nothing to lose. Call if you need protection, she writes. I don't reply, but I feel the tide shifting. 2 days later, I'm at the community board meeting addressing Abigail's zoning complaint against Eleanor's rental unit. The room smells of coffee and lemon air freshener, filled with retirees and neighbors. I stand, my cane studying me, and hand out copies of zoning laws, the deed, and the voicemail tramped. Abigail trespassed in my office, Well, I was sedated. I say, my voice clear, cutting through the murmurs. She accessed private files and used my recovery to attack my grandmother's autonomy. The board chair, a man with tired eyes, reads the transcript and clears his throat. Are you pursuing legal action, Ms. Marin? I pause, letting the silence speak. I'm evaluating options, I say. But the community deserves to know the truth. That night, I meet with a legal team via Zoom, my face hidden. I upload the voicemail, the forged documents, Clara's recording. They listen unflinching. You could press charges now, one lawyer says, her silver hair in a French twist. Fraud, conspiracy, medical misrepresentation. But if you wait, let them act again, it's willful, intentional, and public. I don't blink. Let's give them more rope, I say, my voice cold. I'm learning their game and I'm playing it better, but they don't wait long to strike. The next morning, my phone lights up with notifications. My name is everywhere: gossip sites, local news, social media. Selena Marin, erratic CEO or corporate threat. Doctored courtroom clips paint me as unstable. A freeze frame catching me mid-blink, captioned unfit or unraveled. 2 board members. Email urging me to step aside for the company's image. Old friends unfollow me, their silence louder than words. I sit on the edge of my bed, staring at the wall, the weight of their betrayal crushing me. Eleanor walks in holding a dusty box. I wasn't supposed to keep this, she says, her voice soft. Inside is a cassette tape, labeled Scholarship 2003. I press play, and my father's voice fills the room, younger but unmistakable. You don't want to go to that school alone, do you? Sign the transfer, let your mama handle the money. Then my teenage voice, small but defiant. I just want to be loved without owing anything. I stop the tape, my chest tight. That girl is still in me, but she's not running this fight. I stand, the cassette in my hand, and walk to Eleanor's porch. The roses we planted last spring are wild, untended. They loved control, not me, I say, more to myself than to her. She sits beside me, her rocking chair creaking. You were their foundation, she says. Now you're their disruption. Her words are steel and they anchor me. I return to my laptop, open a blank document, and type. I've been silent for years, hoping family meant more than power. But the truth doesn't cost me anymore. It frees me. I save it, title it for when they cross the line, and wait. They think I'm broken, but they've forgotten what I have. Proof, allies, and a silence sharper than any knife. As I close the laptop, a car alarm blares outside, and I glimpse a figure darting into the shadows. My heart races, but I don't run. Not anymore, they've taken their shot. Now it's my turn.